Most women think they need to do more to make a man crave them. Text more, be nicer, be more available. But the truth, one bold move made with total confidence can flip everything. Imagine this. Instead of chasing, you shift the dynamic. You speak your standard clearly, then step back. You make the first flirty move, then go quiet. You pull away when he goes vague. You live in a way that says, I want you, but I don't need you. That energy, irresistible. This isn't about playing games. It's about shifting from needing validation to owning your worth. It's about disrupting the pattern he's used to and showing him that your life is full, joyful, and bigger than him. That absence, that little bit of space where you used to chase, creates desire. It makes him lean in, wonder about you, crave your attention. If you've ever felt like you were giving your all and still being taken for granted, this is for you. Because the moment you stop centering him and start centering you, everything changes. He won't just notice you. He'll feel the pull. And when you make this one bold move, he won't know what hit him. But he'll know he wants more. Let me tell you something about attraction that most people never realize. When someone feels like they've already figured you out, they stop chasing, they stop trying, they stop being excited. Why? Because they've already predicted what's going to happen. You become part of a routine, a pattern, and guess what? There's nothing sexy or irresistible about a routine. But the moment you disrupt that pattern, everything changes. Think about it. When you first meet someone and there's that spark, it's not just about chemistry. It's about uncertainty. It's about the unknown. He doesn't know what you're going to say next. He doesn't know if you're into him yet. He doesn't know where it's going. And that keeps him intrigued. That uncertainty is where the desire lives. But the second he starts to predict everything you're going to do, how you'll always reply within 5 minutes, how you'll always say yes to plans, how you'll always accommodate his mood or schedule, that mystery dies. And along with it, his craving for you starts to fade. Now, the bold move here isn't about playing games or pretending to be someone you're not. It's about doing something that shakes up the dynamic, doing something that reminds him, hey, you haven't got me all figured out yet. I'm not here to just orbit your world. That could mean not texting back right away when you normally would, not to punish him, not to be manipulative, but to reclaim your space and your rhythm, to not make him the center of every moment. When you shift like that, when you stop being predictable, he notices. And more importantly, he starts thinking. This could also mean saying no when you usually say yes. If he asks you to meet last minute, but you've already made plans with friends, honor those plans. Don't drop everything just because he called. You're not being difficult. You're being high value. You're showing him that your time has to be earned, not assumed. And let me tell you, the second you make a guy feel like he doesn't have automatic access to your energy, he wakes up. Suddenly he starts texting first, starts trying harder. He starts asking questions he never asked before. Why? Because he can't predict you anymore. Here's the thing. We're not attracted to people who are easy to read. We're drawn to those who have depth, layers, and independence. And if you've been falling into a rhythm where you're always the one making it easy for him, always trying to make sure he's comfortable, you may have accidentally made yourself invisible. You may have accidentally made yourself invisible, not intentionally, but through predictability. It's like emotional background noise. He knows you'll be there. He knows you'll understand. He knows you'll say yes. And so, slowly, the effort fades. The attention shifts. Not because he's a bad guy, but because humans are wired to take for granted what they think is secure. That's why this bold move is so powerful, because it doesn't require you to be rude or cold or distant. It simply requires you to do the unexpected. And not because you're playing a role, but because you're actually reconnecting with your own needs and boundaries. It means saying, I don't need to chase. I'm allowed to pause. I'm allowed to respond on my time. I'm allowed to value my plans and my priorities. The moment he feels that shift, everything changes. Because now, instead of you leaning in, he has to lean forward. Instead of you being available on demand, he has to wonder when he'll see you again. And in that wondering, desire is born, that craving you want from him. It comes from a place of not knowing, from being curious, from the realization that you're not a guarantee. That's when he starts craving your presence, your attention, your voice. When you disrupt the pattern he's used to. You remind him that you're not just another person who's happy to sit in the passenger seat of his life. You've got your own world, your own timing, your own heartbeat. And that's magnetic. That's what makes him stop and ask himself, wait, have I been taking her for granted? Did I get too comfortable? And suddenly he's not just thinking about you. He's thinking about how to re-earn you, how to engage with you more intentionally, because he knows you're not going to just follow the same script anymore. So if you've been showing up in a way that's always predictable, always accommodating, always 2 steps ahead of his needs, pause. Let him feel your absence. Let him feel your shift. And let him crave the part of you that isn't always so easy to access. That one bold move, it's not about changing who you are. It's about showing him that he hasn't even begun to see all of you yet. You ever notice how so many people talk about confidence? Like it's this abstract thing, like a vibe you either have or you don't. But real confidence isn't just about how you look or how you carry yourself when things are going great. Real confidence is what shows up when you make it clear what you want and you're willing to actually walk away if it's not being met. That's when people sit up and take notice. That's when they realize they can't take you for granted. And this is the bold move that makes him crave you, speaking your standard and then stepping back. It sounds simple, but it's one of the most powerful things you can do. Because most people don't do it. Most people are scared to voice what they really want, what they truly expect, because they think if they do, they'll scare someone off. But here's the truth. The right man is meant to be scared off if he isn't ready to meet that standard. And the man who is ready, he won't run. He'll step up. Let me tell you what happens when you boldly state your standard. You create contrast. He now knows the difference between you and the dozens of other people who just go along with whatever happens. You're no longer blending in. You've declared, this is how I want to be loved. This is how I expect to be treated, and I won't settle for less. That's magnetic. That's unforgettable. And here's where it gets even more interesting. What you do after you speak your standard is what determines your impact. Most people say what they want and then immediately try to convince someone to meet it. But the bold move is to say it and then step back. You don't beg. You don't follow up with a 3-paragraph explanation. You don't give him a deadline or an ultimatum. You just let your words sit and give him the space to miss you. Why is that so powerful? Because when you step back, he has to feel the silence. He has to sit with the question, can I rise to what she's asking for? And more importantly, do I want to lose her? That reflection doesn't happen when you chase. It happens when you give distance, when you leave room for him to move toward you, not because he has started to, but because he wants to. And that's where desire lives, not in pressure, not in convincing. Desire lives in the space between what someone knows they could have and the risk of losing it if they don't act. Now, I get it. It takes guts. It's vulnerable. You might be thinking, what if I say what I want and he walks away? And I'll tell you, if he walks, he was never yours to begin with. He was only ever staying because you were convenient. And being convenient is not the same as being chosen. The irony is that the very thing you're afraid will push him away, your honesty, your standards, your strength, is often what finally draws the right man closer. because a man of substance, a man who's looking for something real, is drawn to a woman who knows her worth. He craves that clarity. He craves that emotional maturity. It's refreshing in a world full of blurred lines and vague intentions. And when he sees you not just say what you want, but live it by stepping back when it's not met, that's when he starts to realize that you're not just a good option, you're the one that stands out. You're not clinging, you're not waiting by the phone, you're not lowering your bar just to keep someone around. You're showing him with your actions, I'm willing to lose you if it means staying true to myself. That's bold. That's irresistible. That's the kind of woman who leaves a mark. And if he doesn't come forward, that's still a win, because now you're free to attract someone who will. You've cleared space. You've made a statement, not just to him, but to yourself. You've said, I won't waste energy convincing someone to treat me the way I deserve. I'd rather be alone with peace than together in confusion. And when you carry yourself like that, when you hold that kind of standard without apology, you don't chase love. It comes to you. It sees your value and feels the privilege of being close to it. Let him feel the space. Let him wonder. Let him realize what it means to lose access to a woman who doesn't need him but chose him. That's the kind of craving that lasts. You don't win someone over by trying harder. You win them over by showing them what it feels like to almost lose you. You want to know the boldest move you can make to make a man crave you? It's not playing games. It's not pretending not to care. It's not about making him jealous or being cold or distant. It's about doing the one thing he never sees coming, making the first move, and then stopping right there. Now listen, this isn't about throwing yourself at him. It's not about chasing. It's about showing you're not afraid to express interest, just enough to plant the seed and then pulling back. That single, unexpected moment of confidence, it creates an opening that most women never take. It changes the dynamic instantly. Because what do most people do? They wait. They wait for the perfect signal, the perfect time for him to do everything. But here's the truth. Guys, even the most confident ones, don't always know where they stand with you. And if you're giving nothing, no signal, no green light, they often do nothing. Or worse, they assume interested. So when you break that norm and make a small, intentional move, something as simple as giving a meaningful compliment, starting a flirty conversation, or even just lightly touching his arm when you laugh, you're showing him you've got confidence. But here's where the magic happens. You don't keep going. You don't follow it up with texting first every time. You don't start planning dates. You don't start filling in all the space he should be stepping into. You let that one move breathe. See, that's where 99% of people mess it up. They think that once they show interest, they've got to keep doing it, keep maintaining it, or else it'll fade. But the truth is, real attraction doesn't need constant pushing. It needs contrast. The boldness of making the first move gets his attention, but it's the restraint that makes him want more. When you show you're interested and that you're not going to chase, he starts to feel something most guys don't experience often: desire, mixed with uncertainty. Not the kind of uncertainty that makes him anxious, but the kind that gets under his skin in the best way. He starts thinking, she noticed me, but she's not trying to win me. She's not trying to keep me. She's just being her. What's her deal? That's where the craving begins. Not because you're unattainable, but because you're not dependent on his attention. You've sent the signal, and now he's left wondering what you see in him and what he has to do to keep your attention. You become a challenge, not because you're playing games, but because you're not handing yourself over the moment there's chemistry. Let me give you a real example. A woman I coached recently told me about this guy she had a little flirtation with at work. One day, out of nowhere, she walked by him in the hallway, smiled, and said, "You know, you've got that kind of smile that makes people feel like they've known you for years." Then she walked off and didn't say another word. That's it. She didn't follow it up with extra messages. She didn't linger around, hoping he'd say something back. Guess what happened? 2 days later, he made a beeline to her desk. He was suddenly finding excuses to talk, to connect. That one line, delivered with calm confidence, stuck with him. And the fact that she didn't keep trying to impress him made it even more powerful. We're so conditioned to believe that interest equals effort. But effort, when not balanced, quickly becomes pressure. The bold move here is not just starting something. It's knowing when to stop and let him pick up the thread. You're showing strength, not neediness. You're showing openness, not overinvestment. And that's a very attractive place to be. Now, if he doesn't respond to that move, if he doesn't take the opportunity to engage, that tells you something important. It tells you not to waste any more of your energy, but more often than not, when a guy feels that spark, sees that confidence, and then sees you calmly go on with your life, it drives him wild because he realizes you're not chasing him, you're living your life, and he wants to be part of it. So the next time you're wondering how to make a lasting impression, don't wait endlessly for him to act. Make the move. A small, bold, confident gesture that shows you're not afraid to take initiative. Then stop. Let the silence do the rest. Let the space speak for your confidence. That one moment will echo louder than any chase ever could. And that's when he starts craving you. You ever notice how when someone pulls away, our instinct is to go after them, to try to fix it, to close the gap, to figure out what went wrong, to over-communicate, to remind them of how good it felt when things were flowing. And it's natural, because when we feel someone disconnecting, it taps into our fear of loss. But here's the truth, one that most people miss. Sometimes the boldest, most powerful move you can make is silence. When someone you're dating, someone you've been talking to, starts becoming vague, distant, maybe less responsive, your mind wants to go into overdrive. You start wondering, what did I do? Is he losing interest? Should I reach out one more time just to clarify? And that's exactly where you lose the power, because now you're reacting from anxiety, not self-worth. Silence in this moment is not about playing games. It's about choosing dignity over desperation. It's about choosing composure instead of chaos. When you go silent, you're not punishing him. You're just removing your energy from a space where it's no longer being met with equal intention. And that's bold, because most people can't do it. Most people keep showing up, hoping that effort will fix chemistry, or worse, that chasing will restore attraction. But here's what really happens when you pull back. The space you create becomes a mirror. He suddenly sees what he's missing. When you're always available, always chasing, always initiating, there's no space for him to feel your absence. There's no urgency. But when you go quiet, not passive-aggressively, but with confidence and peace, you change the game. Let me tell you something. People value what they stand to lose. And when a man realizes your presence isn't guaranteed, when he notices the energy shift, that's when he starts thinking differently. He starts questioning, wait, where is she? Why isn't she texting? Did she move on? Was she more special than I thought? Those questions don't come from pressure. They come from silence. And I get it. Silence is hard because it requires patience. It requires sitting with uncertainty. It means resisting the urge to control the outcome. But if you can hold that space, something amazing happens. The power dynamic resets. You stop being the one always trying to win someone over. Instead, you let them step forward or not. And either way, you win, because either he realizes your value and makes a real move toward you, or he fades out and you've just cleared space for someone who will step up. People often say, but what if he forgets about me? If silence makes someone forget you, they were never deeply invested to begin with. Let that be a gift, not a loss. Your silence didn't push him away. It revealed he wasn't meant to stay. This isn't about manipulation. This is about you anchoring yourself in confidence, about you saying, I'm not going to beg to be seen. I'm not going to convince you I'm worth it. I already know I am. That energy is magnetic. That energy is rare, and trust me, he feels it, even if you're not saying a word. We're so conditioned to believe that love and effort are synonymous, that if we try harder, we'll get the result we want. But attraction doesn't work that way. Desire doesn't grow in a crowded space. It needs air. It needs room to breathe. Sometimes the most attractive thing you can do is to not do anything at all, to allow the space for the other person to come towards you and to show you who they really are when you're not filling every gap. So when he becomes distant, don't chase. When he goes quiet, don't get louder. Hold your space, hold your worth, and trust that the right person won't need to be pulled in. They'll feel the pull just by realizing what they're about to lose. Sometimes the silence is the loudest message you'll ever send. You know what the boldest move you can make is? It's walking into a room or into a conversation with the energy of someone who already knows they're desirable. Not in a loud, showy, look at me kind of way, but in a quiet, grounded, unshakable confidence that says, I don't need anything from you to know my worth. Most people, without even realizing it, are walking around looking for evidence that they're enough, that they're lovable, that they're wanted. They're scanning for reactions, waiting for responses, watching for signs that someone approves of them. And it's exhausting because in that state, everything you do is about trying to win someone over. Every message you send, every joke you make, every outfit you wear, it's all done with the hope that someone will give you the stamp of approval. But here's the truth. The moment you start performing for validation, you're no longer being bold, you're being dependent. You've given your power away. There's something incredibly magnetic about someone who doesn't do that. Someone who doesn't seek permission to feel confident. Someone who knows they're a catch, not because someone else told them they were, but because they've done the work to believe it for themselves. So here's the bold move. Show up as the prize, not because you think you're better than anyone else, but because you've cultivated your value and you're protective of it. That shift in mindset changes everything. When you enter a conversation with a guy and you're not thinking, I hope he likes me, but instead, I wonder if I'll like him. The energy completely flips. You're no longer auditioning, you're observing, you're curious, you're present. And that is wildly attractive. It's not arrogance, it's not indifference, it's self-possession. It's the quiet strength of someone who isn't waiting to be chosen because they've already chosen themselves. You stop over-explaining, you stop oversharing, you stop giving more than what's being given to you, you stop chasing, you stop trying to manage someone else's impression of you. And what happens? He notices, he feels it, because suddenly there's a calm about you. You're not rushing to impress. You're not nervously filling silences. You're not trying to be funny or cool or sexy to win points. You're just being. You're in your power. And that presence, it commands attention, not because you're loud, but because you're sure. Guys aren't drawn to the woman who bends over backward to be liked. They're drawn to the one who respects herself so deeply that she would never sacrifice her standards for a fleeting moment of connection. The one who enjoys flirting, but doesn't need to be flirted with. The one who appreciates attention, but doesn't crave it. The one who can walk away at any time, not out of spite, but out of strength. When a man sees that, it creates a tension, a curiosity, a craving, because in a world full of people performing for affection, you stand out by simply being grounded in your own skin. Now, let's be real. This isn't about playing hard to get. It's not about pretending you don't care when you actually do. It's about aligning your actions with your true value. It's about making sure that your behavior reinforces the message, I am worth showing up for. So the next time you're with someone, and you feel that pull to prove yourself, pause, take a breath, remember who you are. You don't need to say the perfect thing. You don't need to chase a response. You don't need to fill space to be valuable. Just be there, fully present, unapologetically yourself. That's the move. That's the bold shift that flips the dynamic, because now he's the one who's wondering, how do I keep her? He's the one who's thinking, she doesn't need me, but she chose to give me her attention. That means something. And that's what makes a man crave you. Not the games, not the tactics, not the strategies, but the realization that you're the kind of woman who knows her worth and doesn't ask for proof. Let your presence do the talking. You want to make a man crave you? There's one thing, one bold move that most people never think to make, because it's not about what you do to him. It's about how you live. I want you to imagine this. You meet someone you like, there's a spark, there's connection, and part of you wants to lean all the way in. You're tempted to make him your focus. You start rearranging your schedule a little. Maybe you text back a little faster. You prioritize him before he's even earned that priority. And without even realizing it, you shrink your life to make space for him. Now, here's the bold move. Don't shrink your life. Don't put it on pause. Don't stop the momentum of the things that make you you. Instead, live like your life is the main event. Because it is. Make your life so rich, so full, and so meaningful that he has no choice but to chase you, just to be a part of it. I've seen this time and time again. A woman who has something going on, something she's passionate about, something that lights her up, becomes magnetic. It doesn't mean she's always busy or unavailable. It means her energy comes from a place that isn't him. That's rare. And men feel that. He's not drawn to the woman who's anxiously waiting for his next text. He's drawn to the woman who's out there doing, not waiting. The woman who walks into the room with a light in her eyes, not because of him, but because she just spent the weekend doing something incredible, traveling, creating, working on a project she loves, deepening her friendships, pushing herself, laughing, growing. And listen, this isn't about pretending to be busy. It's not a strategy where you post fake stories on Instagram of you living your best life. That's surface level stuff. I'm talking about actually building a life that feels meaningful to you, that life becomes the fuel for your confidence, your self-worth, and your presence. When you do this, something amazing happens. He feels the difference. He senses that you're not there because you need him. You're there because you choose to be. That choice makes your attention a gift, not a given. It makes your time feel earned, not expected. You become the woman who doesn't chase love, you attract it. Let me be clear. This doesn't mean you act cold. This doesn't mean you never initiate or show interest. It means that everything you give comes from a place of fullness, not lack. When you text him, you're not trying to get a response to feel better about yourself. You're reaching out because you feel good already and want to share that goodness. That difference is everything. You want him to crave you. Don't try to convince him you're worth chasing. Show him by the way you live. Show him by how deeply you invest in your passions, how much joy you create in your own world, how high your standards are for the energy you allow into that world. People can feel when you have a rich inner world. They can feel when your happiness doesn't rely on them. And ironically, that's what makes them want to be part of it. Because no one wants to be someone else's entire source of joy. That's pressure. But being invited into someone's already joyful, already exciting life, that's a privilege. Now, here's the challenge. When you really like someone, it's easy to fall into the trap of over-prioritizing them. You think, if I just show how much I care, if I give more, if I bend a little, he'll see how amazing I am. But craving doesn't come from being overly available. It comes from a little tension, a little mystery, a little space. You don't have to play games to create that space. You just have to stay grounded in your own life. Keep nurturing the things that give you energy, the friendships that fill your soul, the goals that push you, the experiences that make you feel alive. Because when he sees that you have a life that's bigger than him, he starts thinking about how he can earn a place in it. And when you do invite him in, when you give him your time, your energy, your affection, he knows it's not out of loneliness. It's not because you're trying to fill a gap. It's because you genuinely want to share this beautiful, fulfilling life with someone who deserves it. That's the bold move. And trust me, when you make that move, he won't just want you, he'll crave you.